Good morning. Thursday morning, and coming to you from my living room. It snowed a bit last night, frosty out. It's sunny now, but that has to burn off. I like going on my back deck, and I can hardly wait till the weather just smartens right up. Like days of sun, not just one day here and one day there. We're still in March though, so I can't complain. Not really complaining. No, it doesn't matter where I bring the truth as long as I bring a show to you. All right, we're into the conduct of mankind here, and it has to do with worshiping false deities and idol worship. And it's going to explain it real well here in the concordant commentary. So, let's get at it. After I have a drink of juice here. Apple juice. Okay. The apostle now takes up the conduct of those of mankind who had no written revelation. Nature alone ought to teach them much about the deity. His attributes are in some degree revealed in his work in creation. Such a knowledge of God called for worship and thanksgiving. Instead, they degraded his glory by making images of him like themselves, or even the lower orders of creation. Idols may be nothing in themselves, but as they are supposed to represent the deity, it is of utmost importance that they do not suggest false ideas about him. Hence he abhors all images that would not allow his people to harbor and would not allow his people to harbor them. Christ is the one image that truly represents him. Excuse me. There's no surer road to degradation than to degrade the object of our worship. There may be an allusion here to the prevalent custom of worshiping the Roman emperor. It has often occurred that when men have attained to great eminence, they have demanded and received divine honors. Alexander the Great claimed such homage. The prevailing immorality in ancient times was largely attributed to the character of the gods they worshipped. Gods, small g. The younger race of gods who held sway on Olympus were usurpers who had murdered the older gods and were guilty of innumerable deeds of violence and full of sensuality and injustice. If their gods behaved so, it was not difficult for men to emulate their example and adore such actions in others as well. The failure of Christendom is largely due to the fact that God is unknown to them, and his place filled by a fierce, vindictive caricature, who is restrained from his thirst for vengeance by the invention of an effeminate mediator, who takes the place of the Christ of God. So you can see, Christendom is like polluted with such junk, like they're worshiping a false god. Bottom line, the height of that wicked system, they're all into worshiping false deities. So if you're into religion, you're going to be worshiping a false deity because they do not know God. Those who are in the sickness of Christendom are really sick. They don't know the true God of the universe and Christ. They do not know Christ. The argument here is inexorable. The man who judges others must be prepared to submit to the same judgment himself. There is no surer way of condemning himself than by sitting in judgment on those who commit the sins of which he is guilty. In the day of judgment, there will be little need to call witnesses against mankind for their own reasonings among themselves and the standards of justice. However low, which they apply to their neighbors, or are sufficient to condemn all. The constant effort to uplift humanity ignores the true cause of human depravity. These things are the result of refusing to recognize God. One of the most alarming signs of modern times is the increasing desire to eliminate all reference to God in every sphere of life. Education must be strictly godless. Business has no place for the deity. Society shuns all mention of him. And even many of the so-called churches have little more than a formal recognition of an unknown God. We must be prepared for sure for more and more of the crime waves which periodically surge over the earth, as well as the complete breakdown of the moral fiber of so-called civilization. And we see it in this wicked eon. We see it so, it's almost like so heavy that you can taste it in the air, the wickedness. And that's no joke. Even when I go out in the world, it's just pressurized. I thought of that many times. I said, who actually thinks about God and Christ? Only the members of Christ's body are the ones who are truly thinking about God and Christ every day. And this is us, the ones who herald the truth and give it out there. That's why we're considered in the world as lunatics. In fact, they call us lunatics. But we don't worship a false God. We worship the God of the universe, God our Father. And we are part of the body of Christ. He is our head. And this is all we need to know to give out truth. And to have that love of God in your heart is amazing. So, grace and peace. Have a beautiful Thursday. We will talk to you tomorrow and continue on in Romans.